Hey, g'day everybody. I'm Greg Murphy and I'd like to welcome you to The Depot. This is a podcast that is focused on getting to know the transport industry a bit better. Now, we know that transport is the backbone of the country's economy, and sharing knowledge, success and stories isn't really something that we do enough of. So the team at AutoSense has come up with this great concept to do a podcast about it, and I was of course more than happy to get on board and do the hosting. In case you don't know, AutoSense is a driver training and safety solutions business doing some awesome things out there within the transport industry. So check them out at autosense.co.nz. Right, so our first episode of The Depot, and it's a pretty big one actually, the Great New Zealand Driver Shortage. Because there is a big shortage in New Zealand in the transport industry for that area. So here's what we know about truck drivers and driving trucks in New Zealand. More drivers are leaving the industry than coming into the industry. The average age is around 54 years old, and more than 20% of the drivers are now aged over 60. Only 4% of truck drivers are women, and 80% of trucking firms have never employed a female driver before. There's a perception drivers work really long hours, around 70 hours a week. It's expensive to get licenses, and it takes longer for those under the age of 20 to get through the system. Add to that COVID, as well as restrictions on immigration, and the problem is really just starting to snowball. So today I am in Dunedin at Dynes Transport, where I'm going to have a deep and meaningful chat with CEO of Dynes, Horan, to see how the driver shortage has impacted them and what they're doing about it. Righto, we're underway. Podcast number one. Matt, great to see you, CEO of Dynes Transport. We're going to talk a little bit about you first, though. I know it's not your favourite subject, but how long have you been down in Dunedin? Because you're not from the mainland.
Yeah, that's right, Greg. No, I've been here 4 years, mate. So I was based up in Hamilton for a long time, and born in Auckland, and spent a lot of my time up in the north. But made the journey down south 4 years ago with the family, and absolutely loving it here in Dunedin. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good spot. CEO of Dynes for 2 years.
Correct.
Previously, though, you've got a bit of history in the transport industry.
I have, mate. Yeah, I've been in the transport game for a long time now, and I've been the general manager of Pacific Fuel Haul, which is a big transport company within TIL Logistics. Yep. And does all of the fuel movements around the country. Prior to that, I was with Wholesome Cement, managing their transport operation across the country, and got the opportunity to come down here to Dynes and be a part of the team, which was awesome, and obviously carry on with the transport theme and the logistics theme, which has been great.
And so what was the precursor to getting into the transport industry? Because that's not what you sort of focused on way back in the uni days, or secondary, tertiary education. You didn't focus in that area?
No, mate, I kind of took a pretty interesting path to get here, actually. I started out on a journey. I think my dad had sort of said to me when I was super young, well, you need to do a business degree, and I was your typical sort of teenager who did the exact opposite of what he wanted to say. So I went and searched for the exact opposite, and for me that was outdoor rec, and I got into whitewater kayaking as a whitewater kayak instructor, which I think my dad sort of looked a little bit sideways on, but I kind of loved it because the outdoors taught you heaps about leadership, and it's just an interesting place to, lead people, especially whitewater, where you'd give briefs to people on the side of the river that all sound great. But once you get in the river, the chaos just ensues, and people kind of do their own thing. You got to be able to obviously gather people's confidence and get them working as a team and in environments where nature's chucking a whole lot of things at you. So for me, I learned heaps about leadership in that journey, and would never trade it. Like, it was a great way to grow. And then I got to the point though where it's a bit difficult to make money out of kayaking in the winter, and I kind of just moved into a factory role, just trying to make ends meet. And I sort of ran into a guy who picked me out of the factory and sort of said, well, I think you could do more. And I didn't really know.
Was that because he saw potentially that leadership situation?
Skill? I'd like to say yes. I'm sure that, I think the key thing was that, he was just one of those classic guys who did see something more in me and said, do you want to go into the office and plan the manufacturing and get involved in that side of it? I didn't know how to use a computer. I didn't know any of that sort of stuff. I sort of just had to have the boys in the factory kind of have my back and make sure that we got everything sorted. But I grew through that and picked up skills and fell in love with the whole concept of logistics. And that sort of got me back into my first role with a company called McDonald's Lime, which basically had manufacturing, but they also had transport. That was my first sort of engagement with transport, and I sort of loved the idea of it. Followed my career through a number of different leadership roles and found my way into Wholesome and onwards with transport. So I think the background at Outdoors just gave me a really good foundation around how to connect with people, how to work with them, but also when things are getting tough, how to manage in those environments. It's easy to manage when things are going well, but when things are going backwards, you've got to know how to work with people and build great relationships so that everyone's walking with you in the headwinds. So
if you can sort of put it into a few words, then what exactly is it that you do love about transport?
I love the people that are in the industry.
Yep.
Yeah, they're just true high quality people that genuinely care. There's great banter. It's an awesome industry to be in, but the quality of the people makes the industry.
And I suppose at the end of all that, the tangible results are just everywhere.
They absolutely, and I mean, obviously, there's never a dull day with logistics. There's always something going on, and I think it's a people game, and at the end of the day, when you're trying to tackle all these challenges, it's pretty awesome to do that with a great crew.
And you like problem solving?
Love it. Yeah, Dynes loves it. 100%. Where everyone who works here loves a challenge, and we've got some amazing people here that do some awesome stuff. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so let's talk Dynes. Large South Island based freight business specialising mostly, I suppose, in transporting dairy and forestry, but you've got dabbles across a whole lot of other realms of the logistics side of things too. Yeah,
we do, Greg. Like we're very much primary centred, so we have obviously forestry is a core part of our business, but we've got milk as well, which is very important, and we've moved into things like viticulture, and all of these industries all blend really well with our equipment and our life cycle over the whole year. So a team gets a lot of variety, which is super important for us, is that everyone gets something different to do out there. And our customers are awesome. We've had long relationships with them, and they've really helped us, and we've helped them to refine their logistics and to obviously get them match fit, which is what it's all about,
Yeah. So numbers. Trucks, people, whatever.
So there's over 200 people within Dynes. So we've got wider networks of people, the partners that we have inside the network that certainly make it a much bigger business at different parts of the year. And we've got over 150 trucks in our fleet, and we've got a lot of capacity in trailers as well for the different things that we do. So it's growing. Started at small routes in Tapanui, and it's grown out, and now it's across both the North and the South Island. So we're very proud of that.
Well, just give us a bit of a sort of outline of that growth and the period of time. It's a very much family business, but it has expanded greatly. And really, is it a short period of time, really? And
it's gone in stages, I think, Greg. We are a family business, super proud of that. It's, kind of what makes us special. And that all started with Jim and Anita Dynes, and they started the business out of Tapanui, and we were very much in the wood space, and a lot of wood chip was being carted, and then we expanded through, and then Jim and Anita's son, Peter Dynes, took over the business and did an exceptional job of growing the business with them and pushing that business into other sectors like the the milk. And but we've always had our core. We're still in the forestry, but we've grown the business out, and 50 plus years now in business as a family business. It's awesome. Our other shareholder, HWR, is also a family business, and that was a very important part of why we connected with them, and it's very important to us as a core performance cog that we stay family centric. It's where all the good stuff happens.
Yeah, and I noticed there's a lot of keywords and phrases and things around the place associated with it, and you look on websites and look at like the likes of the Dynes way, right? And productivity is becoming a lost art in business. The reason why Dynes exists is to redefine what productivity looks like for our customers.
Yeah,
hell of a sort of statement, and you got to live by those things. It can't always be easy.
No, it's not. I think though it's important to know what your purpose is, though. I think it can get lost in a lot of different statements that don't genuinely mean a lot. And I think for us, what we wanted to do is make sure that we had a purpose that genuinely connected with what we're trying to do here and everything we do. And so we sell efficiency to our customers. That's what we do. We happen to do that in trucks, but we also do it in a number of different other things as well. And our people have really clear clarity as to what it is we're trying to do for our customers, because you have to have that, I think, if you want to add value. It can all sort of lose shape if you don't quite know what it is you're trying to do. And it's easy to say, we're a trucking company and we move things, but it's more than that. And for us, we're more than a trucking company.
You're you're solution architects.
We are. Our people.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Look, it's a phrase that our team has coined, and Peter Dynes especially has coined, and he's very much the person who started that journey. He's very much an out of the box thinker, and everyone who's been hired into this business has to have that DNA. They have to want to be an entrepreneur. They have to think outside the box. We give people the freedom to think for themselves here, and some people love that and other people struggle with it, and I think the ones that love it just thrive in our environment, because we challenge the norms. We'll ask people to take risks, calculated risks, in terms of innovation, and try and find better ways of doing things. And I think that over our journey as a business, we've had a number of things come into our business that have added innovation and value to our customers, which is awesome, which is what you want. It's the continuous improvement thing.
But there must be, with that, and the words culture and team and all this kind of stuff, which I've been associated with for a very long time, and I've seen many people claim that they operate under those labels.
Yeah.
But when you look at the true sort of meaning definitions of those things, and then you look at how they're actually going about it, they don't connect at all.
Yeah.
They are quite simple and I think in what they mean, but they're not necessarily easy to actually adhere by or live by. And it does take a lot of work to make sure that that's maintained. So how much effort and resource goes into that side of it for you guys to make sure that you are ticking those boxes for what they actually mean?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think for me, culture is consistency. It's defined by consistency. It gets broken when people are inconsistent with the values and what they're doing. And for us, the values have to be things that are genuinely things that exist here, not things on paper that we've invented that we want people to be. Yeah. And they've obviously got to be the true DNA that makes us successful. And that's why we went through a process of identifying our values, which will always be different to someone else's values. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that the values that we have here, because they are so deeply connected to our people and the nature of our people, it's not as hard to maintain, because when we hire people here, that's the first and the last thing that we use to hire someone is our values, is literally to listen, talk, and connect with them as humans. Because even if we are a business, you can see things lose shape very quickly in bigger businesses or bigger structures where all sorts of acronyms and language starts to occur in the business, that's not what you use down the street.
Yep.
And for us, it's about the fact that we want to connect with our people and have great relationships with them. And if we have that, then hopefully our culture will stay strong. And over 50 years, I think there's been a fantastic natural evolution of that here, and we've just started to decode it a little bit more because it was something that was happening, but we needed to make sure it was visual for the next generation, so they can follow up.
And that's important, that that everyone's living by it, no matter which layer or where you sit in the so-called triangle. Everyone needs to be bought into that. And
I think the quality of the language that you speak, in terms of its simplicity and the consistency of your behaviours in a business or at home in a family, defines how things function. And when people don't deliver that, and I've seen it myself, through my career, that's when you see things fall apart, is when a rule that was in place or a stance that was in place is suddenly changed or adopted just because of an event, and everyone looks at that, and then that shifts the culture. And so I think culture is an evolving thing, and it's a thing that hundreds of books have been written about, and it's easy to market it, but I think it takes a lot of work when you're trying to breed a culture that isn't you. But when you understand who you are or who your people are, it's easy for culture to be maintained because you're connected with it. And I think that's kind of where I feel our people are deeply connected with the culture. We all look at each other and know the DNA that's within us. We're all Dynes through and through, and we really love our company, and we don't just say that, we actually love it because it reflects who we are here as people. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. I really appreciate that. It's good to hear it too. So with all that in mind, creating that culture and that buy-in from everybody, you would think then, you'd have people flocking here, hand over fist going, I want a job, I want to be here, right? Although, not everyone's going to realise how good this place is until they start here. But one of the biggest issues that in transport now, which everyone is having to deal with, is the shortage of drivers. So what things are you guys doing here at Dynes, and how's it impacting you?
Yeah, okay, so I'll start with the impact, Pete. I mean, definitely, like all of our brothers in transport, it's tough, and ultimately you need people. People make your business, and so you need them, and certainly not being able to access resources is super challenging. We've known for a long time that a shortage of drivers would start appearing. I think COVID sort of accelerated that issue, but it's been here a lot longer than COVID. And for us, we've looked at it from a number of different ways. I think the first is we've started an academy some time ago. It's called the Dynes Academy. It's really focused on trying to bring in the next generation of people into our business and into our industry, but it's also accommodating the ones that want to change their careers as well, and giving them a shot at coming in. And we had a number of people during the pandemic come to us and wanted to jump in a truck because they could sort of see the benefits of it, or that they may have been in tourism and needed to change their careers. So that was, from our side, I guess, an opportunity. And I think the cadetship model and the academy have been probably the thing we're most proud about in this space. I mean, there's some big challenges there, but we want to breed young people into our business. So the actual course they come in on, the development course, is focused on bringing kids in and building their character. So we want them to potentially be truck drivers, but we may want them to be ultimately leaders of our business. We don't set that role. We pick those people out based on their character and the qualities, again, the values. Do we see the values within them?
And then also maybe highlight a specific skill that might be way off on a different tangent that they didn't see.
Potentially, mate. I think the first point is just getting them in, getting them exposure, and it's the simple things that build character, like getting exposure to meetings, talking to people, coming to work on time, getting structure. All that stuff's a part of our development program. Des, who's our cadet manager, does an exceptional job of effectively mentoring these kids. And so we have a number of female and male cadets that come into the business, and they do a range of tasks here. It's not just getting in a truck, but we ultimately would love to see them, if they're super practical and want to be a truck driver, we'll try and get them through the licensing in a timely manner and give them exposure to a number of different trucking opportunities to get their skills up. But what we do see is that a number of them are true leaders, and hopefully they'll, one of them will take my seat, and others, that's success, right? If we can get them to believe and see that those opportunities exist. So the academy is helping bring a number of them in, and that's a starting point. I think the status at the moment around getting drivers is difficult, and so obviously we're trying to make sure we communicate to the wider transport community and driver community what we have to offer here in terms of the variety of work we have and the culture that we have. And I think we've been very lucky. We've got a lot of driver retention here. We had our 50th celebration a year or so ago, and we had numerous drivers that were plus 20 years. I think we had a couple that were plus 40 years. So we've got a really loyal group here, but we're definitely still impacted by the shortage. We have a lot of work to do, and some of it's seasonal, and you'll just notice more and more the challenges there. So we're working harder to bring those younger ones in, and when we have people who want to change their career, we also have got the cadet program to help with that as well in the academy. So we try and blend them all together, hopefully get some more talented people. Not an easy situation for the industry being to face, but I think we feel like that's where we can do the most good, especially locally here in Dunedin. We really want to obviously breed as many talented people as we can, so hopefully we see more of them come through.
And so with the academy and the cadetship, do you have cycles of that, or can anyone come at any time to join?
Anyone can apply, Greg. I think we've actually had a bit of a waiting list for some time now, which has been quite it's quite cool to see.
Because that's a lot of resource to put into that, right? Too.
It's huge, yeah, it's huge. So we interview them. Not everyone makes the grade, and some of them get given a lot of pointers to go back and work on and bits and pieces. We make sure that people understand what they need to work on, but it's certainly not just a breeze in type exercise. There's a selection process, and as I say, our website gives you access to the cadet program, and you can submit your interest, and then we get going with having chats and finding out. Every cadet gets interviewed by myself. So I'm super interested in who they are, and they also get interviewed by Des and the team in the academy.
And do you tell them a bit about your story?
Yeah, I do.
Because
actually.
it's important that they see the boss, the CEO sitting there behind the desk, and there's be a preconceived sort of idea about how you got there. They probably don't think that where you started and what you were doing and how you've ended up where you are.
Yeah, I definitely do have that chat. I'm always interested to know a little bit about them in terms of their passions, but I do show them our org chart, which we've flipped around the other way, where the drivers are at the top of it.
Yeah.
And so I really want to show them that, look, the titles mean nothing here, including mine. At the end of the day, we don't even have our titles on our business cards, because we're all just doing something different in the business to make the machine perform. And so we try and make sure they understand that all of these roles are important, and they are. And everyone's just got a different function, and to not get hung up on those titles, because we're not pretentious people here. And I think that we give them hopefully a feeling of confidence that we're a family, and you can come into our family and hopefully be whatever you want to be. And for us, that's awesome. If we can get that talent to obviously contribute to the industry, then we're doing our job, in my opinion, and that's what we're passionate about. So hopefully that carries on. So
you've got 18 to 25 age group. There's a 30-month process, and then the Dynes Accelerator 25 years plus 18 months, and that's obviously around just a lot to do with the licensing issues and restrictions.
Pretty much, yeah. We sometimes have people that might have class 4 licenses when they come, and so they can move a lot faster than someone who's starting on class 2. But at 25 plus, you can obviously take a number of courses in between the licensing to speed up the time frame between the license tests. So we definitely can get them in and going a bit faster, whereas the younger ones, we're just focused on trying to give them life experience and exposure to a range of different things. And some of those things are just very simple things, like as I say, being involved in toolbox meetings and seeing how people interact and all that stuff that people forget. But they're the qualities that grow your character and just experience, putting them in different environments. And they have been fantastic. The kids in the cadet group are absolutely an essential cog in our business now. They do so many important things for us to make our business successful when we're under pressure, and then obviously it's fantastic when we can get them in the licensing as well, and obviously in behind a wheel of a truck. So but regardless of being in a truck, they still do some awesome stuff here that makes the machine go. So it's pretty cool to see, and they keep us honest. They're good characters. A lot of young people have some really good ideas, and they stress test our business, and that's what we want. We want to be challenged. The business can't stand still.
Well, there's different ideas now. There's this generation, different ideas on what success is and what they want, what they're looking for, what they see as obtainable or achievable as well.
Yeah, that's right. I think connecting, that's the most important thing that we've recognised moving forward, is just connecting with people individually and recognising that every person here has professional and personal aspirations, and you need to understand what they are, and they will be different between the different age groups and what people are looking for. And our job is to make sure we tailor the journeys here for everyone. So the journey when you get to retirement is hopefully that you've been with Dynes that whole journey. That's our ultimate goal, and that we've provided you all the pathways on the different paths of your life in terms of what you need. And I think that the younger ones, when they come in here, they're very, very smart when it comes to ITs. They're very smart at looking at processes and saying you could do that a lot smarter, and they do. They give us a good stress test, and I think that's awesome. And hopefully if we can help them grow their voice and help them see how to grow their capabilities in our environment, then I feel like it's a great marriage of two partners coming together. And that's what it's all about with the academy, bringing people in and us both doing something and adding value.
Yeah. So what do you put it down to then, the struggle and now the storytelling around the transport industry, and which I don't think it has been missing, right? I think it's been missing for a long time. Putting the industry on a pedestal to actually let the nation know how they turn up at the supermarket, or they turn up at the hardware store, or they turn up at the petrol station, they turn up and just they pull the bowser out and there'll be petrol in there, and they'll turn up at the hardware store and they'll get their whatever the item is they're looking for, and they turn up and they're the bag of flowers on the shelf. It's just an expectation that all that's going to happen. So what's gone wrong that the industry is fighting so hard now to encourage and attract people to be a part of it?
Yeah, it's an education piece, I think, definitely. I think, like society is different to what it was 30 years ago, and I think, a lot of people who might have grown up on a farm or understood where their food comes from, with a lot of people moving into cities and city life, it's not uncommon, to be fair, to find a number of city people who aren't quite aware of how things get in the supermarket, like you say. And behind that, there's also the transport as well. And so I think the industry as a whole, including us at Dynes, I recognise we probably haven't done the greatest job of marketing our industry or making people aware of what we actually do. They might see the truck down the road, but it's putting all the other dots together so they understand the flow of how logistics works. The pandemic's given us a great advertisement of what's been going on and what happens when it doesn't work.
And a real focal point.
Yeah, but it wasn't because the industry pushed on and did that. I think our job's now to take that and make sure that people understand what logistics networks look like and what happens when they fail, but more importantly, what opportunities now exist in there, and that there's some exciting roles that are just as good as any other industry, if not better, as we see shortages where there's scarcity creates demand. And I think that logistics will be an exceptional industry to be in the next 10 to 15 years, but we need to educate people better, especially at, say, careers fairs or what have you, about who we are.
Image.
Yeah.
Fixing an image.
Yeah, the old trucker and the pie type thing, like that's, the boys all like a pie, I don't mind one either, but that's not everything here. And we've got a lot of other people doing a number of different roles here, in safety and IT and dispatching and logistics, those sorts of things. They're all big, really important roles, and they're also jobs that you could do in a number of different industries. And so I think there's a lot to offer, but we've got to step forward as an industry and start marketing ourselves better.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's, options and what people want to do, lifestyle, all that kind of stuff. The stereotype around, 70, 80-hour weeks and working 6.5 days a week, all this kind of stuff. There's the new generations, they're not, they don't want to be thrown away every minute of their day at work, do they?
No, we've got to find a balance. There's definitely work to be done, and I think people do want to work, but they also want to achieve goals, and we've got to recognise that some of those goals look a lot harder to them than they might have done 20 years ago. But there are opportunities, and we want people to see the combination between delivering productivity and receiving value as a person, and trying to blend that, because productivity in New Zealand needs to improve. There's no question about it. And I think that a number of the sectors we've had that are suffering, you can see that productivity is the piece that's rearing its head here, where as costs increase and are getting passed on, there's no productivity in the mix, and it's just sort of starting to become a black art. It's starting to get suffocated by unnecessary sort of structures and rules that just slow things down. There's some important stuff that needs to be done, but productivity is something that often just gets neglected. But if you look at some of the other countries, like the likes of the Singapores and stuff like that, they have focused on productivity and value add. So the stuff they're selling to the world is value add, and then you can go and obviously then deliver higher wages. You can give people more, and I think we've got to look at that across the country. I guess it's a broader topic, but I think in our industry as well, we need to be smarter, and there's a lot of cool ways to be smarter, and we definitely think that logistics can offer people a great career and a great way to manage their aspirations and deliver what they want over their life. But we've got to advertise it too.
Yeah.
And we haven't done a lot of that, but we want to do more of it moving forward.
Yeah. So is there an absolute specific area of that whole logistics? Is it just drivers that there's a major shortage of, or is it just across the board and all the different aspects of it?
It's across the board. Yeah. It's across the board, Greg.
So in your business, you've got people on the ground. There's forklift drivers. There's office in the office
people. Yeah, everyone. If you try and find anyone, and I'm sure every industry would just tell you the same thing. There's a shortage of people in general. There's obviously going to be a massive shift of people going overseas. Potentially
shortly
in the coming months, and so it's a challenge across the board. But truck driving is like the lifeblood. The drivers are a massively important piece of our business, and ultimately, if the truck is not moving,
doesn't matter about the rest of it.
Pretty much. So we've got to work on all those facets. It's definitely it's challenging times, but with challenges like that, there's opportunities, and so I kind of get excited about the opportunities, and there's plenty there, and that's what our team's excited about as well. That's the environment, so what do we do about it?
Yeah.
And I think we've obviously started with the academy, and we're constantly thinking about the next ways forward, and sometimes too it's about retention of people, and that comes back to those family values and how we treat people.
Have you had to, on top of all the other processes, the academy, the cadetship and everything, for retaining people, have you had to look at incentivising and other ways to make sure someone doesn't jump over to somewhere else?
A little bit. I think, there's been elements of incentive, but I think a lot of it is how we treat people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can often just lose someone.
Grass isn't always greener.
Yeah, and look, from our side, what we definitely do is, there's certain situations where someone might want to leave, and sometimes we accept that they might want to go and see other environments because they've only known ours, and our hope is they'll come back, and many of them do.
Yeah.
And I think though it's the quality of the conversations that need to be had with people that defines whether they want to stay here, because it's not all about money. I definitely know that for a fact. I know that people want to be treated with respect, and they want to feel like they're part of a team, and that's what we focus on in the way that we treat people, which shouldn't be that difficult. Like it's just acting like a normal human, to be fair, but it gets lost in the business structures and the complexity
and what we think's important.
Yeah, and all the acronyms and things like that. Look, I'm not interested in them here.
Yeah.
I'll speak to someone in normal English. We'll have great conversation. That's important to me. I think that we don't want to complicate the way we talk and interact, and that's where people sometimes get lost in the system and want to leave. So yes, there's probably incentives, and yes, there's a number of different things around that, but I would say that our big focus is on how we treat people.
Yeah. I seem you're very proud of that and confident about it too. So if you turned up as a brand new cadet today,
yeah.
What's the first week involved? What does the first week look like? Because it could be quite you could be taken back by what you see around here.
Yeah, look, it's interesting. It could be anything. There's a lot of different things going on at different types of the year, and I think what we try and do is just settle them into some basic stuff. We have a wheel polisher here, so that's one of our pride and joys, and so that machine is dedicated to the cadets, so they have to run that machine and polish all the wheels and make sure that they're all looking sharp, and it's just an introductory task of responsibility.
Yep.
So that's your machine, you handle that, you work that, and they do a great job. Then we move them on into other tasks, and Des kind of works with each individual based on their characteristics. It's a bespoke program. I think you can't, leadership is to me, it's not a course. And everyone's got leadership in different ways and styles, and so you've really got to work with the individual to unlock that. And I learned that a lot from the outdoors. People have got it in them, but they've got different styles. And
different walls.
Our job's to unlock their
right?
potential, right, and to get the performance out of them. So that's what we do. We kind of see what they like in the different environments. We'll put them into different tasks. They might go into our warehousing business. As you say, they might get a chance to hop on a forklift if they've got the license. They might just hop in a truck with a driver and go out and see the different runs. And so Des just basically puts that program together as he sees it, and that sort of helps grow them. And then eventually we put more structure in play, and months later they've got kind of a more rigor to what they're doing. But at the start it's about just getting in the environment, enjoying it, talking to people, and getting their confidence up, making sure they're turning up on time, making sure they're looking sharp with their uniforms, and just getting the basics going, and then hopefully from there just building off it.
Let's backstep a little bit. Just COVID. How did Dynes survive through that period? And I mean, initially, when no one knowing anything, what was going to happen, how it was all going to work. I mean, how did that? How did you guys control that initial phase, especially learning about what needed to be done? What did you put in place?
Well, I think COVID was an opportunity as much as a threat. I think it was an opportunity for us to make sure that we stood up like we always want to, and step forward and do what we say we're going to do, which is look after our people. So a number of our people were up in viticulture having to do grapes, and that was sort of given an exempt to carry on. So it was a very challenging situation. So we had to focus on our communication with our team, and I will forever be thankful for what our staff did during that situation. They were all just amazing human beings in terms of their ability to stay there calmly and work through it. We obviously want to make sure that they were safe the entire time, but we had a job to do to get the harvest done, because grapes got to come off, and there's a few people that like them.
people got to drink their wine.
Yeah, there's got to be some stuff that's got to be done there. Our forestry business was completely in lockdown, and we actually came off a lot of our milk was already quiet, so we didn't have too much to do there. But we need to look after our people, so we did. We made sure they knew that no matter what, they would get paid. This is before thinking about the wage subsidy or anything like that. It's irrelevant to us. We just need to make sure that they knew that everything was okay, and then ultimately what we got out of that was when there was a couple of opportunities where work needed to be done, everyone came to the party and they all stood up and said, yep, put their hand up and said they definitely work. And so it was a murky, crazy sort of period, but I think, obviously trying to understand where it would end or what it was challenging, but it was an opportunity for us to demonstrate our values again and again, because that's when it matters. When the going's tough, that's when those things really matter.
They pay off, yeah.
Yeah, and for us, it wasn't a case of having to get ready for it. That was second nature. All of our people stood up, all of our leaders here treat people well every day, and we went out and had those conversations and just connected with people, found out what's going on, and we got through it, thankfully, and it was super challenging for the local economy here in Dunedin as well, as it was across the country. So thankful that that's a little bit further behind us. COVID's still creating disruptions. Got to live with that, but we're just working through that. And obviously just trying to find a rhythm, and I think that's the evolution thing.
Well, it's
right?
changing. It's forever changing. There's nothing, what's right this week is not going to be the same next week, or
That's
what you
right,
do this
mate.
week is not going to be the same.
Yeah, I think you just gotta evolve, and that's kind of in our warehouse. It's all good.
Yeah. Back to the cadetship and the academy, Dynes Academy. How do you go and promote that? How's that being pushed out there to create awareness around the fact that it exists?
Yeah, it's a good question, Greg. I think there's two ways. One on our website, so dynes.co.nz, we've got a page that explains all about the cadetship, and it helps people see exactly what we're looking for in a cadet, and also for someone who's looking to maybe change their career. And then there's a simple application form that they can fill out, which will find its way to the academy, and we will reach out to them. No matter who's applied, they will get reached out, and we will have chats with them to sort of find out a little bit more about them and what they're all about and where they want to go, and then see if we can accommodate them into the academy. Ultimately, we haven't got like an intake process. We wait for people to apply, and we reach out to all of them, and then we work through the opportunities we have in the business to bring them into the academy, because ultimately we've moved a number of people through the academy, which is exciting. We've got a number of drivers, female and male, that have moved right through to Class 5 licensing, which is awesome. And when that happens, we obviously have spots we can bring through. And we'd love to grow the academy even more, which is kind of part of the goal. But the website's the main place where people can engage with the academy.
And careers advisors, schools and things sort of aware of?
Yeah, the careers fair or advisory channel is definitely the other area that we're working on hard now. So we've got a careers fair coming up, and that's a big focus for us, about, again, that conversation around how we market ourselves and the academy, but more so just the actual industry as well. So that's the big focus, and we'll probably just keep pushing on with those career fairs, making sure that we're getting to the coalface, and then ultimately too, we have a number of referrals, word of mouth. A lot of that stuff goes on too, which is pretty cool. And as I say, we've certainly,
you cast a pretty big net, don't you, really?
Yeah, not short of applicants,
Yeah.
which is awesome. But we definitely need to keep seeing more young people come through, and more people who want to change their careers. So the systems are all there, and the avenues to communicate are all there.
And really need to bring up, because it's not something that seems to go hand in hand, is girls, women, in the industry, and especially in the driving trucks part of the industry. Why is it so hard? Why has it been so difficult? Because girls do an amazing job, and you've got quite a few that have come through that are just are just proving absolutely their worth, obviously. And we need more females to be thinking at this path, right?
Yeah, and look, it's perception and marketing.
Yeah.
And ultimately that's just led to a point where some people don't pick up the phone. And I think
you don't need to be wearing your stubbies and your singlet through the middle of winter, eh?
Nah, we definitely have a fair bit of that here, but I think at the end of the day, there's not a requirement. And I think it's been pretty cool to see, that journey with a number of the awesome ladies that have come in here, and they have great attitudes, and they jump on the trucks, and they set new standards for us, they challenge processes and systems. I think that's pretty cool, and ultimately we've been really proud of a number of the ones that have gone all the way through to class 5. And sort of set a new benchmark in that space. But I think marketing and perception is where it all starts, and changing those thought patterns that people naturally get from passed down from generations. So we've just got to do...
stereotypes, right? They're not accurate anymore.
But the industry's got to step up and do something, We can't just sit there and go, we've got to be the ones that front that. So that's what we want to do, and that's where the career fairs, I think, are probably the best place for us to start.
Yeah, that is awesome. Right on to a little bit of, pitching the sponsors' calls here. I mean, AutoSense is the sponsor, and they provide driver training and safety solutions in the industry, as you know, and you've got some involvement with AutoSense through a lot of Guardian technology in your fleet. So a bit of an overview of what Dynes' approach is there to that driver safety space. I mean, it can be a lot of tokenism around that too, because there's a lot of work and resource that needs to go into, to the evolution of driver safety as well.
Yeah, there is, and I think that's easy to say a lot of fancy words about it. And I think at the end of the day, drivers are professionals. That's the starting point. Just like a pilot, they're a professional, and so they need constant upskilling to keep their edge. And we've got driver trainers inside our business that obviously do a lot of that work, and then help keep our team match fit. And we invest a lot of money into safety and training, because there are prized assets out there in the battlefield. So we've got to
representing too.
Absolutely, we've got to make sure they're safe, and that's our job. That's my job, is to make sure my people are safe. They've got all their resources, and they can go to the battlefield confident. And I think that starts with the quality of the trucks we have. We spare no expense on what we have here, purely because we want the safest, highest standards in the equipment, and then also with the training we offer. That's a real focus to ensure that our drivers are of the highest caliber at all the times. We treat our drivers with a lot of respect around driver training too. It's not a mechanical process. We certainly want to acknowledge the drivers that are at the top, and we use a lot of technology to help acknowledge their performance, and drivers do want to be acknowledged. I think that's just human nature, right? They're professionals, and a professional wants to know that he's at the top of his game. So we put a lot of effort into that driver training space, because that's how you breed good people, right? And you bring them in, they're often very, very good, but you've got to maintain performance, a bit like a sports team, you've got to train, and that's what driver training and other initiatives are. It's just keeping your match fit.
So and I know there's a lot of operators out there that do an amazing job in this space, but it's a message that needs to be sort of spread far and wide outside the industry into just everyday mainstream people moving around in vehicles, because again, it's just because you've got a license that says you're allowed to drive, it doesn't mean that you're as good as you can possibly be or as safe as you can possibly be. And it is like everything else. You need to have the reboot. There's a new program come out. You've got to take it on. You've got to have it installed. To get the best performance.
Yeah.
And that obviously is really important in the transport industry. But it should be important across the board, shouldn't it? No matter what you're doing.
Absolutely, mate. I don't think it's specifically what we're doing, but I think it is, as you say, it's ultimately just recognising. It's recognising, I think, with trucking as well, that it is a profession.
Totally.
Once you get that bit, then the next question is, if you're a professional, what does a professional do? And everyone who is a professional definitely trains. They definitely get stress tested, and I think that's something that we just see as sort of, and it's important. It's not out to the side. It's just part of what we do, and I think we've I know a number of other transport operators do a really good job in that space too, and I think it makes our roads safer. But we make sure that we've got the best gear and the best equipment and the safety tools that matter, the things that are actually going to help and protect our people. And it's something that I'm personally really proud of here at Dynes, is that we certainly don't second guess that space. And I think that it hopefully helps see that if you're a professional driver with massive standards, this is a great place to be, and hopefully keeps good retention here and attracts more drivers. So I think training's super important.
So and with what we see through Guardian by Seeing Machines that is distributed by AutoSense and stuff, I've been blown away. I mean, this is one of my attractions to being involved with AutoSense was seeing some of the statistics around fatigue distraction issues, which is hand in hand with driving long haul, driving trucks, long distances. I mean, it can be. They are professionals. This is the thing. It can be a monotonous task, and it's got to be something that you really do buy into to do at the best levels you can. Those things, fatigue, distraction alone within the business, just quickly, I suppose a bit of an overview how you've seen that impact and how important it is to work with it.
Well, look, I think the reality is that fatigue and distraction is the number one risk, and it's facing that. It's a ghost fatigue in my view. It's great to have logbooks, and we've got electronic ones, and that's great for compliance, but fatigue can impact anyone, and that's something that we faced some time ago, and from my perspective, I'm pretty passionate about it. In fact, that we need to. My job's to make sure that I know that we're doing the best we can do out there to protect our people, and fatigue was a topic that needed to be tackled. It's not talked about a lot, and it certainly happens, and it doesn't matter who you are, and so it's not selective.
No,
it's ultimately a whole lot of things. Can I tell today how many people might have watched, say, Netflix and have had a great sleep or anything like that? No. And so if I can't answer that, and I can't answer the question who's fatigued and who's not, you certainly need tools. And that's why we went down this journey with AutoSense to make sure we had the right tools in play to protect us from our biggest risk. A number of the other risks in our business are all being addressed by different things, but that was the one that was like the ghost, in terms of knowing when it would appear and where it would appear, and ultimately, we have a duty of care to the people on the road, as well as the people inside our business, to make sure that we can satisfactorily say that we've got not complete control of that topic, but we've got tools that support us in managing it.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're a really high-class professional operator in our industry, you have to have those tools to be in that category.
And this is where the tech side of things, we've had to understand it and accept it, right? Because it's now there. It's now identifying issues. I mean, this stuff is still, it's pretty new. It's in its infancy still, right? It's still growing, and just over 4,000 units throughout the industry now, in an industry that's quite a lot bigger than that. So that acceptance of that is really challenging. And you've got a people's council.
We do.
Right, which is a lot of safety focus on that. Has that been an important part of being able to get people on board with those changes? Because we know a lot of drivers have been pushed back and been against, this stuff that's, telling them what to do, or making them, or trying to make them better or help them through it. There's been a lot of pushback around it.
Absolutely there has, and I think the People's Council was formed because we wanted to do things differently in safety. We wanted to simplify safety and the way that we talk to people, and to make sure that they have the stuff they actually need to do their job. And so we formed the People's Council because we believed that we needed to get a greater voice within the organisation. We need to know the pulse. It's all good for me to say I think I know what people want, but the People's Council was formed on that basis. No managers allowed at the council. We have an independent chair, and the drivers speak candidly about what's going on, what the focuses are, and managers also put forward concerns about things that are going on in the operation. Now, fatigue was one of the first things that went through the People's Council.
Right.
So it played a big role in our journey in adopting the technology, because what we wanted people to see was that the fatigue camera is for you and your family. it's not just for us, it's for you and your family. And once you understand why the technology is there, adoption was a lot quite faster. And it's obviously just treating people with respect, as we've talked about a number of times in the culture space. It's when we've got something that's a bit contentious, it's often contentious because people don't understand it. And they also, with fatigue, often it's like, oh, I'm not sure it will happen to me. And so
that's right.
You want to be able to sit down with them and explain it, but more importantly, explain, what would your wife say? Would she want that tool? Would your child want that tool? I don't think there'd be a single family out there that wouldn't want to know that their dad or their mum didn't have that camera in the cab to protect them, and that's what it is. It's not for the company. And I think that a number of other cameras that have been sort of nitpicking and looking at drivers, for different reasons, have created a negative impact on cameras, full stop. So for us, we were aware of that, and so we really wanted to obviously get on top of fatigue and be a leader in that space. So the People's Council helped to talk to the staff and go through a number of iterations, which we did, consulting. We probably did more consulting than most to get to a point. But there's a point where, a number of people just needed the camera in their truck to actually see it work and then find that it's actually not beeping all day. Our number one concern with the camera was it wasn't working. And I said, well, that's because you're not fatigued.
That's because you're doing everything right.
Yeah, that's right. But that was our number one thing that came out of it, which was quite hard.
Is that right?
Yeah, they just actually thought there was something wrong with it.
It was failing.
Yeah. But
that's what we want.
That's what we want.
That's exactly what we want.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Hey, that's brilliant. I mean, I've taken up way more of your time than probably anticipated, but these things do go on and on a fair bit. So, very insightful. Lots of amazing information. Thanks for sharing too. What goes on here and what you do and how you go about it and giving your opinions on things. We're hoping that it will, continue to manifest through more and more that we talk to, and it gives an opportunity for other operators and you also maybe down the line to see and hear and do some learning across the journey. So really appreciate it, Matt. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks,
Cheers.
Greg. Really appreciate your time, mate.
Thank you, everybody that has listened to our first episode of The Depot. Really interesting for me, fascinating, talking to Matt Horan, the CEO of Dynes, about the driver shortage, how it's impacted their business and the innovative ways that they are recruiting drivers and providing them with a career pathway. We really hope that you've all gained something from this chat, and I know that he'd be only more than happy to discuss further or support similar ideas that you might have. The idea of the podcast is to share this knowledge and the issues within the transport industry, as it's something I don't think that we do enough of. So whether you're a fleet manager, a truck driver, a female in the trucking industry or the transport industry, an owner operator, if there's a theme that you'd like to hear about, or hear me talk about or interview someone about, then let us know. Or even if you'd like to come on the depot and have a chat with me, then get in touch. Just email thedepot@autosense.co.nz. Now, if you do like what you've heard today and you want to subscribe to the podcast, then you'll get alerts each time a new episode is up. So that's it for today. Thanks, obviously, to AutoSense for creating the opportunity to make this happen. Thanks again for listening, and we look forward to bringing you episode 2 of The Depot really soon.